There is something I already know about you simply because you clicked on this video. You have been nice. Genuinely, consistently, abundantly nice. You showed up. You were patient. You did not play games. You said what you meant, and you meant what you said. You treated her well from the beginning, and somewhere along the way, that stopped working. Actually, it never worked the way you thought it would. The nicer you were, the less she seemed to want you. The more you gave, the less she valued it. And you have been standing in that confusion long enough that part of you has started to wonder if there is something fundamentally wrong with you. If being a good man is somehow the disqualifying thing, it is not wrong with you, but something is wrong with the assumption you are operating from, and I am going to tell you exactly what it is. The assumption that niceness is the currency of attraction is one of the most pervasive and destructive myths in modern dating culture. It sounds right. It feels right. It aligns with everything you were taught about how the world should work. But desire does not operate on the same logic as morality. It does not reward virtue with devotion. It does not keep score of how many kind gestures you have accumulated and then cash them in for her affection. Desire is a different system entirely, and until you understand how that system works, you will keep pouring your goodness into a void and wondering why nothing ever comes back. I want you to try something with me. Picture two men. The first man texts back immediately. He rearranges his schedule to see her. He tells her she is beautiful constantly. He never disagrees with her. He is available every time she reaches for him without exception. He is by every visible measure devoted. Now picture the second man. He texts back when he gets to it. He has things in his life that matter to him, and he does not cancel them easily. He tells her she looks beautiful on a Tuesday for no reason, but he does not say it every day. He disagrees with her sometimes. He is warm when he is there, and genuinely occupied when he is not. You already know which one she wants, and if you are being honest with yourself, you already know why. The first man is not more loving. He is more available. And availability without selectivity is not attractive. It is a signal, and the signal it sends is not, "I really want you." The signal it sends is, "I do not have enough going on to make you work for any of this." And a woman's nervous system, whether she can articulate it or not, reads that signal immediately. This is not about games. This is about value. And value requires scarcity. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer wrote that the more a thing is worth, the less it is offered for sale. When you offer yourself endlessly, when you make yourself available at every turn, you are essentially putting yourself on clearance. And people do not value clearance items the way they value things they had to work for. It is not cruel. It is not fair. It is simply how the human brain is wired. We value what we had to earn. We value what we could lose. And when you remove all risk of loss, you remove the very thing that makes you valuable in her eyes. I used to be the first man. I want to be specific about this because I think honesty is more useful than abstraction. I was endlessly accommodating. Whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted it, however I needed it arranged. I was present in a way that should have felt like love, and instead felt like furniture. I did not plan to feel that way. I did not want to feel that way. But the feeling arrived anyway, and it was this. If he is always available, then I must not be losing anything by having him. And if I am not losing anything by having him, then what exactly am I holding on to? I started treating him carelessly, not out of cruelty, but out of the specific kind of carelessness you develop toward things that cannot be taken from you. He confused my carelessness for not knowing what I wanted. He gave more. I cared less. That is not a coincidence. That is a mechanism. Here is the thing nobody will say directly. Women do not hate nice guys. They hate what niceness without backbone communicates. There is a version of nice that is genuine warmth, generosity, steadiness, and care. That version is attractive. It is what women say they want, and it is actually what they want. And then there is a version of nice that is really just the management of her opinion of you. That version of nice is not generosity. It is anxiety wearing the costume of kindness. It is a man who is not being good to her because goodness is who he is. He is being good to her because he is terrified of what happens if he stops. And she can feel that difference even when she cannot name it. The first kind of nice comes from abundance. I have enough inside myself that I can give freely. The second kind comes from scarcity. I need you to approve of me, and the niceness is how I keep that approval coming. One feels like being with a man. The other feels like being responsible for one. And a woman does not want to be responsible for the emotional survival of the man she is with. She wants to be chosen by a man who could be fine without her but prefers to be with her. That distinction is everything. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, often misunderstood on this point, observed that we value things in proportion to the difficulty of obtaining them. When you make yourself too easy to obtain, you are devaluing yourself in her eyes, not because she is shallow, but because her brain is following a logic that has been shaped by millions of years of evolution. Picture the man who agrees with everything she says, who has no opinions that might inconvenience her, who shapes himself around her preferences like water taking the shape of whatever container it is poured into. Now picture sitting across from that man at dinner 10 years from now. What is the conversation? Who is he when you remove her reflection from his eyes? What does he want that has nothing to do with her? If the answer is nothing, then she is not in a relationship. She is in a mirror, and a mirror is not a partner. A mirror is just a surface. A man with no edges gives a woman nothing to hold on to, and a woman with nothing to hold on to will not hold on. The psychoanalyst Carl Jung wrote about the dangers of the persona, the mask we wear to please others. When you wear the mask of the endlessly accommodating man, you are not showing her who you really are. You are showing her who you think she wants you to be. And that mask, no matter how polished, will always feel hollow to someone who is paying attention. She will feel that you are not really there, that there is no one home behind the smile. And that emptiness, that sense of interacting with a projection rather than a person, is profoundly unattractive. It is not that she wants you to be cruel. It is that she wants you to be real. And real people have edges. Real people have opinions. Real people disagree. Real people have lives that matter to them outside of the relationship. I want to say something to the men watching this who have been told their whole lives that being nice is the answer. You were not lied to exactly. You were given half the truth. Being good is the answer. Genuinely good. Grounded, warm, present, honest, capable of care that does not require reciprocal approval to survive. That man is attractive. That man is rare. That man is what every woman who has ever been asked what she actually wants describes when she is being honest. But goodness without self-respect is not goodness. It is a performance. And performances get exhausting to watch and eventually exhausting to be around. The nice guy who cannot be disagreed with, who has no life that does not center her, who texts again when she has not responded, who apologizes for things that did not require an apology, who absorbs bad treatment because rocking the boat feels more dangerous than sinking slowly. That man is not being kind. He is being afraid. And fear dressed as kindness fools no one for long, especially not a woman who was hoping, underneath everything, to find someone she could actually lean on. The philosopher Søren Kierkegaard wrote that anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. When you are anxious about her approval, you are dizzy with the fear of losing her, and that dizziness makes you cling, grasp, and overgive. But freedom, real freedom, comes from the knowledge that you will be okay whether she stays or goes. Here is the quiet part, the part women say to each other and almost never say to men. We do not want to be the strongest person in the relationship. We will be if we have to. We have been trained to be, but we do not want to be. We want to feel like there is someone next to us who can handle things, who does not need managing, who will push back when we are wrong, not to win, but because he respects us enough to be honest. A man who agrees with everything is a man who has decided his peace is more important than our growth, and we feel that abandonment even when it looks like accommodation. The brutal reason women lose attraction for nice guys is not that the kindness is wrong. It is that the kindness was built on the wrong foundation, built on her approval instead of his own sense of who he is. And a foundation built on someone else's approval shifts every time they shift. There is no stability in it, and without stability, there is no attraction. And without attraction, there is only a very pleasant arrangement that eventually suffocates both people. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus wrote that if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. When you are willing to be thought foolish because you are being honest, when you are willing to risk her disapproval because you are standing in your own truth, you become a man of integrity. And integrity, more than any performance of niceness, is what creates genuine attraction. To the man watching this, stop being nice to her. Start being good. The difference is the foundation. Nice is what you perform for her reaction. Good is who you are when no one is watching. Be that man with edges, with opinions, with a life that matters to you independently of whether she approves of it. Be warm, be generous, be genuinely kind. But do it from a place that does not require her to validate it to feel real. That man does not need to chase. That man does not need to manage her opinion of him. That man is simply himself, clearly and consistently. And the women who are worth having recognize it immediately. You were not born to be furniture in someone else's life. You were born to be a man who takes up space, has things that matter to him, and chooses a partner who is glad he did. Be that, starting today. The psychologist Abraham Maslow, known for his hierarchy of needs, observed that what is necessary to change a person is to change his awareness of himself. When you change your awareness of yourself, when you stop seeing yourself as someone who needs to earn love through sacrifice and start seeing yourself as someone who is already worthy, the entire dynamic shifts. You stop performing. You start being. And that being, that authentic presence, is what she has been looking for all along. I want to take this even deeper because I think there is a layer of this that almost never gets discussed. The nice guy syndrome is not just about relationships. It is about how you learn to survive in the world. Many of you grew up in environments where your safety depended on keeping the peace. You learned to anticipate other people's moods. You learned to apologize for things that were not your fault. You learned that your needs were secondary to keeping others comfortable. And that pattern, that survival strategy, worked for a while. It kept you safe. It kept you from being yelled at or rejected or abandoned. But then you grew up and carried that strategy into romantic relationships where it does not work the same way. In romantic relationships, that strategy does not keep you safe. It keeps you invisible. Because the person you are with is not your parent. She is not looking for someone to manage her emotions. She is looking for a partner, an equal, someone who can stand next to her rather than kneel before her. The philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre wrote that we are condemned to be free. That freedom is both terrifying and liberating. When you realize that you do not need her approval to exist, you are free. And that freedom is terrifying because it means you might lose her. But it is also liberating because it means you are no longer a prisoner of her opinion. Let us talk about what this looks like in practice. The first shift is internal. You have to start valuing your own opinions and preferences as much as you value hers. That does not mean you become rigid or inflexible. It means you stop automatically deferring to her. When she asks where you want to eat, you do not say wherever you want. You say where you actually want to go. If she disagrees, you have a conversation about it. You do not fold immediately. You negotiate. You compromise when it makes sense, but you do not surrender your preferences just to avoid conflict. The second shift is about your time. You stop being available at all hours. You stop dropping everything the moment she texts. You have a life that matters to you, and you protect it. That does not mean you ignore her. It means you respond when it is genuinely convenient for you, not when it is convenient for her. The third shift is about your opinions. You stop agreeing with everything she says just to keep the peace. When you disagree, you say so. Calmly, respectfully, but honestly. You do not attack her. You do not try to win. You simply state where you stand. These shifts are not about being difficult or playing games. They are about being a real person with a real interior life. And real people are attractive in a way that perfectly accommodating people never can be. The philosopher Simone de Beauvoir wrote that one is not born a woman, but becomes one. The same is true of a man. You were not born a man of integrity. You become one through choices, through practice, through the willingness to be uncomfortable. Let us address the fear that is likely rising in you right now. What if I become this man and she leaves? That is a legitimate fear, and I want to address it directly. If she leaves when you start setting boundaries, when you start having opinions, when you stop being endlessly accommodating, then she was never attracted to you in the first place. She was attracted to the performance. She was attracted to the convenience. She was attracted to the safety of having someone who would never challenge her. And that is not a real relationship. That is a transaction. You were trading your self-respect for her presence. And that trade was never going to work out for you, because eventually you would have resented her for taking what you were giving, even though she never asked for it. And she would have resented you for giving it, because it made her feel like she was responsible for you. The philosopher Rainer Maria Rilke wrote that love consists in this, that two solitudes protect and touch and greet each other. When you have no solitude, when you have no life of your own, you cannot protect or touch or greet her. You can only cling to her. And clinging is not love. It is desperation. And desperation is never attractive. Here is another truth that is hard to hear. The women who are most attracted to the nice guy performance are not the women you want. They are the women who need a man they can control. They are the women who are looking for someone to manage, someone to take care of them, someone who will never challenge them. And those women will keep you trapped in the nice guy role forever. They will reward your accommodation with their presence, but they will never truly desire you. Because desire requires respect, and respect requires you to be someone worth respecting. The women who will actually want you are the ones who are attracted to your strength, your integrity, your willingness to be real. And those women will not be threatened by your boundaries. They will be drawn to them, because they are looking for a partner, not a servant. The psychologist and philosopher Erich Fromm wrote that love is an act of will. It is a decision. It is not a feeling that you fall into. It is a practice that you commit to. And part of that practice is maintaining your own identity while being in relationship with another. Let us go even deeper into the concept of availability versus selectivity, because I think this is where most men get stuck. Availability is not the same as love. You can be available to someone without loving them. You can be available to someone out of fear, out of obligation, out of a desperate need for approval. And when you are available for those reasons, it feels heavy. It feels like you are giving something that you expect to be repaid. Selectivity, on the other hand, is the expression of value. When you are selective with your time, your attention, your energy, you are saying that these things are precious. They are not given away freely. They are earned. And when a woman has to earn your attention, she values it more. Not because she is playing games, but because that is how the human brain works. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer also wrote that the struggle for existence is the root of all value. When you make yourself too easy to have, you remove the struggle. And without struggle, there is no value. This is why the man who has a full life, who is genuinely occupied with things that matter to him, is more attractive than the man who is endlessly waiting by the phone. The man with a full life is not available. He is selective. And selectivity creates attraction. I also want to address the issue of time and patience. Many men who are stuck in the nice guy pattern believe that if they just keep giving, if they just keep being patient, if they just keep showing up, eventually she will see their worth and choose them. This is a tragic misunderstanding of how attraction works. Patience is not the same as persistence. When you keep giving to someone who is not reciprocating, you are not being patient. You are being avoidant. You are avoiding the hard truth that she is not interested. You are avoiding the confrontation with your own worth. You are avoiding the possibility that you have been wasting your time. And avoidance is not a virtue. It is a defense mechanism. The philosopher Søren Kierkegaard wrote that the door of happiness opens outward. To open it, you have to move away from it. When you keep pushing against a door that is not opening, you are not being patient. You are being stubborn. And stubbornness is not attractive. It is exhausting. The woman you are chasing can feel that stubbornness. She can feel that you are not really interested in her as a person. You are interested in the outcome. You are interested in winning her approval. And that need to win, that desperation, is what makes you feel heavy to her. Let us talk about what happens when you actually stop being the nice guy. When you stop performing niceness, something interesting happens. Some people will fall away. They will not like the new you. They will prefer the old you, the accommodating you, the you who never challenged them. And that is fine. They were not your people. They were people who benefited from your lack of boundaries. And when you set boundaries, they leave. That is not a loss. That is a filter. Other people will be drawn to you. They will be attracted to your clarity, your groundedness, your willingness to be real. And those are the people you want in your life. The philosopher Marcus Tullius Cicero, the Roman statesman and philosopher, observed that we should never be ashamed to be ourselves. And when you are yourself, clearly and consistently, you attract the people who are meant for you and repel the people who are not. That is a gift. That is the gift of integrity. I want to close with a practical exercise. For the next week, pay attention to when you are being nice and ask yourself why. Are you being nice because you genuinely want to be, or are you being nice because you are afraid of what will happen if you are not? When you catch yourself agreeing to something you do not want, ask yourself what you are afraid of. When you catch yourself apologizing for something that is not your fault, ask yourself what you are trying to avoid. When you catch yourself texting again when she has not responded, ask yourself what you are hoping to control. This is not about judgment. It is about awareness. And awareness is the first step toward change. The philosopher Epictetus wrote that the first step to self-improvement is the realization that you are not in control of everything, only your own choices. When you realize that you cannot control her response, only your own actions, you free yourself from the need to perform. And when you stop performing, you start being. And when you start being, you become the man she has been waiting for. Drop your story in the comments. I am not asking for engagement. I am asking because I actually want to know where you are, what this stirred in you, what you are still sitting with. And if this reached something real, subscribe. Not for the algorithm, because this channel exists for one reason only: to tell you the truth about love with enough honesty to actually change something. And if this video helped you in one way or another, please consider supporting the channel using the Super Thanks feature. Your support means a lot, and it helps us keep creating better content specially for you. Every contribution goes directly into improving the quality of these videos and bringing you more of the Stoic wisdom and psychological insights that you have come to expect. Stay grounded, stay present, and remember that the most important relationship you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. Take care of that one first, and everything else will start to fall into place. I will see you in the next one.